Hello everyone. Peace out. This is a remote viewing. I'm in a really good mood tonight. The first thing I want to do is I want to give a shout out to Earl Heflinger. Earl Heflinger. He offered to paint Mila, and I thought, okay, like people paint, it's cool. Look at this. Is this not incredible? I mean, Earl, my gosh, that's my Mila. You have captured her soul, and I will have this for the rest of my life. So thank you. What a blessing. Thank you. So if you would like your pet to be immortalized, I mean, my God, look at that. The artist is Earl Heflinger. That's how you pronounce it. Heflinger at gmail.com if you want to contact him about having your pet's portrait. This is incredible. I think this is one of the most, I can't believe it. Thank you so much, Earl. Earl Heflinger, HEFLINGER at gmail.com. Earl Heflinger. Thank you. Thank you so much. We absolutely love it. All right, now we get to the remote. So I took a couple days off and I had a hard time doing the remotes. I just had trouble focusing. I've had a lot of patience. I've been making a lot of tea. As many people know, Washington State and California have the coronavirus. It's a state of emergency. I don't want patients, people who want to get a reading, please don't come into the office if you don't have to. If you're sick, don't come into the office. Instead, we can do a telemedicine or we can do a WhatsApp, no problem. But anybody who's showing acute symptoms, I don't want to see you, okay? Sorry, but I just can't afford to get sick. All right, so the first part of this meditation, the first part of this remote view was that I just wanted to meditate on viruses, how viruses have evolved, what they are, what they do, what their function from an evolutionary perspective is. And the answer I got back is that human beings are ever evolving. We're ever evolving, that we are part of this dynamic thing which is called evolution. It's an ever evolving, ever perfecting universe. It just rolls on. And 90% of evolution leads to extinction. Lines die out and then new ones are born. And it's just ever changing. It's the fact that nothing is permanent. Nothing is permanent. Most of human DNA is riddled with viruses. Viruses embed themselves in our DNA. They can impact our DNA, and they're responsible for mutations, variation in genetic material. And so viruses play an important part in helping human beings evolve. One of the other things I saw in the meditation was I was meditating on the Lotus Sutra, and in the Lotus Sutra it talks about the universe is created, destroyed, and created again over and over and over again, billions and trillions and trillions and trillions of times, and that to be a Buddha is to recognize the truth of this, that it's just an endless universe repeating over and over again, creation, destruction, creation, destruction. And so with that theory in mind, we have been here before. Things seem familiar. We've played this out before, and we're always given an opportunity to get it right. And so karma is the ability to not just be reactive, not just be in our reactive mind and bring the world to the point of destruction, okay, we'll begin again. And we'll try again to get it right. That we collectively can all try not to perceive of someone whose opinion is different than our own as the enemy or evil, or to play into that, because it only increases animosity on both sides and leads us closer to destruction. That we are, they say that as far as the universe is concerned, human beings are like an electron orbiting a shell in an atom. And the Heisenberg principle says that we don't know the speed and the location of the electron at the same time. We can't calculate. It's either going to be one or the other. We can tell you the spin, but we can't tell you the location, and that's because there's this question, like, why we don't know why the electron spins the way that it does. We don't know why it chooses to go one way instead of another. We're left with a kind of a question, the Heisenberg question. We never really understand that. We don't understand particles and waves, why some type of choice seems to be taking place. But as far as the universe is concerned, human beings are like that. We can always have free choice. So interwoven in the universe is not fate. So just for all of us who read cards, we're here to empower people and to give them hope, not to bring them down, not to make people feel like it's something that they did that caused their parents' divorce, or, that enlightenment isn't an exercise in malignant narcissism. It isn't all about me. I'm just one small part of a vast universe, and I can choose to go left or I can choose to go right. And that we are that electron. We don't really know where we're going to wind up, or the particle and the wave. Are we going to go this way or are we going to go that way? And every day we actively choose. Are we going to choose to be kind or not? Those are the little choices that lead to enlightenment, or this idea of enlightenment in daily life. So that was the first part. As you can tell by the flowy language, that was the third chakra part of the meditation. But y'all like the fourth phase when I go spying. So we ground ourselves with your coccyx to the earth. I know that Linda G was talking about taking our shoes off, walking on the grass. Absolutely, grounding yourself, having a connection with the earth. It's very good for the psyche to do that. But if you're sitting on the ground, or if you can sit on the grass, just allowing chi to come up can really be helpful. But in the fourth phase, when the chi was coming up, and then I went into trying to scan, the first place I got pulled to was India, and I saw a lot of high winds in India. And then along with high winds, I saw that it was a drought, and that it was just blowing wind and drought, and that whole swaths of India were going to become uninhabitable. So that's disturbing. So we're going to have more overcrowding in certain cities in India. Particularly, I'm seeing a lot of crowding in going from northwest and midwest is what it's looking like. So there'll be changes that way in India. In Africa, I actually see the opposite. I see that they're really getting aggressive about ecotourism, that the money is being reinvested from the ecotourism, that because China and Russia are investing in new infrastructure there, it's actually bursting in the economy. And there's this, I feel optimism when I go into Africa, when I scan Africa. I feel like I see forest and new work and new roads and infrastructure, and we're finally being helped, and the possibilities are limitless. They're also going to become much more active in the cruising, creating really beautiful areas for their boating and their cruise, their beaches, etc. A lot of that stuff hasn't been promoted enough in, say, Western Africa, etc. In China, I saw some serious political changes that they were no longer going to be able to, they had extended their, like the United States, they had extended their boundaries too far out, and they couldn't control all these different diverse communities. And so what China is going to do is it's going to stop having such a stranglehold on these communities and give them more freedom and start encouraging leadership within these communities, more autonomy for Tibet, which is good. They're not necessarily going to give up control, but they're going to give up a considerable amount of autonomy, back to the Hans, back to this community, back to that community, and just say, okay, pay your workers a decent wage. Don't make me come back after you. You know how to run the system. We're out of here. So there's a pulling back a little bit and a little bit more freedom coming up. As long as you pay your taxes, as long as you do, you follow these rules, we're out of here. And that is an amazing stream, because it feels like within China itself, they're pulling back and giving people more autonomy so that they can direct their attention more towards rebuilding infrastructure in places like Africa, and also investing in parts of India. Okay, so the last thing that I meditated on was Elizabeth Warren. This was tonight. I looked at Elizabeth Warren's energy when she was doing her interview with Rachel Maddow, and it looked like what I always see when I look at Elizabeth Warren. My hair's doing a weird thing. And that is, I saw VP and then I saw president. I think in Elizabeth Warren's future, she will either be the vice president or the president of the United States, and quite possibly both. I think she's going to endorse Biden. I think that there's a karmic lesson in that about prejudice, that when we are prejudiced or when we make enemies, there, it goes back to this karmic idea of what goes around comes around. And the Bernie bros made an enemy of Elizabeth Warren. They attacked her, they threatened her, she was getting threats, horrifically sexist, similar to the sexist attacks that Trump had made against Hillary Clinton. And unfortunately, it has cost Bernie Sanders Elizabeth Warren's endorsement, and with it, there goes 10% of the Democratic vote. And so it's ultimately going to probably cost Bernie Sanders the presidency. So that's powerful, though, if she goes in and becomes VP. I went in and did a remote for Stacey Abrams because I wanted to see if Stacey Abrams was going to be the president or the VP, and I just saw a bright star, bright light, that she was in the light, and that she had a smile on her face, and that she was the star. So it could be that Joe Biden makes Elizabeth Warren VP, but then puts Stacey Abrams in some incredibly powerful position, and then she runs in 2024 because Biden's not running again. And I don't know if Elizabeth Warren becomes president by default, runs, but I think that Stacey Abrams, he may stick her in a different cabinet position. It's interesting. I'm trying to think of what's going to happen with her. She could wind up she's probably going to wind up in the White House, but not necessarily VP. All right, everybody, thanks for watching. If you're still trying to get in for a reading, you can go to tarotwithwhimsy.com. We'll see you later. Take care. Peace out.